Hey everybody, and thanks for watching Woodcrest Bonsai. I'm coming to the end of my window of opportunity to root prune my junipers. So I'm going to work on another one today. And I guess I need to move it back a little bit so you see the whole tree. It's pretty bushy. I brought up this leader as the main trunk. And there's a lot of little incidental stuff on here that is never going to be part of the design. So I'm going to cut that stuff away so you can see the trunk better. So there we go. Pretty decent trunk, but then up here it splits into two. And this has the most energy, this part here has the most energy, but I don't want that. I want the curve to come and the curve to come, and then this to be the apex here. So the first thing I'm going to do with this guy is I'm going to remove all of this and then turn it into gin. And the process of turning it into gin is the same for every tree. They really need, let's see if we can't get even closer. Probably need to cut off all this stuff here. And this is going to be a pretty heavy-duty piece of gin, although you can always make it thinner. So I take my concave cutters and I cut to about half. And then if I can do it with my fingers, then I rip it down. So more over here. Take my concave cutters. And you see this is going to be a pretty chunky piece of gin if I leave it the way it is. And then rip it down. When I say down, I mean towards the trunk. So then I'm going to take my gin pliers and squeeze all the rest of the bark to destroy the cambium layer. And that should all just pop right off. And where does that look as far as the tree? That's a whole big chunk of gin. But of course we're going to have this guy as the apex. So it's going to come into here. And I'll have to promote some of this growth over here as another limb going this way, or I could even just wire the whole thing around like that, shorten it up like that, get rid of some of this so you can see what I'm talking about, and that looks like it's going to be pretty good. However, the gin is still way too big. Visually it's just like, you know, instead of saying, oh nice tree, you're going to say, oh nice gin. So I'm going to shorten it. Going to make it thinner. There's a knot from where those little branches were that's making it difficult to rip it down. Okay. And you know, on the other videos, you know, my philosophy is that you can always shorten it. But there's some points where it's just too long. There we go. Now, there we go. That's much better. That looks pretty good. Although I ripped it up, and most branches, when they fall to the ground, they don't fall up. But that looks so much better. Okay. And I do not really plan on wiring it like this, that I said, because I really just want to do the root pruning and get stuff done. We're talking, the weatherman is talking about 3 or 4 days of rain. And that makes it almost impossible to work, and it makes it impossible to do any videos. So, but if we can imagine this guy like this, and I want to bring it up, I'm going to root prune it. And I'm not going to use this video to show you how to root prune, because I've already done that on multiple junipers. Same process. Take the tree out of the pot, feather out about 1/3 of the outside roots, cut them away, and then put it back into a pot. For most of these, they're going back into the same pot. So what I'm going to try to do is do 2 or 3 or 4 in this video, just kind of rapid fire, because I'm getting nervous that they're going to start sprouting, and then it's much more difficult to have success doing the root pruning. They need to be root pruned totally dormant. So I'm finished with this stage. It's been root pruned and repotted, and I angled it a little bit differently. And if we take this guy away, you can see it's got a interesting curved trunk. So the future of this tree is to let it recover, then wire the apex up around to continue the curvature. And another reason that I took all this stuff off, because I want this branch here, which is quite weak, to be possibly the first main branch. This lower sweeping branch I may just remove entirely, because right now it's up against the pot. I could put it into a different pot, you know, more like that and a little higher, and turn this into a semi-cascade. But regardless, this guy here needs to become more vigorous. And so the way you do that is to take the stuff right above it off. If you remember, it was such a giant glob, and it was keeping this guy from growing well. So that's it for this guy. I'm going to try to do maybe 2 or 3 in the course of this video, because I'm not going to show you the root pruning or do any kind of major work. Here's the second tree, and this tree has been wired at some point. It's a little bit funky, there's no doubt about it, and there's a lot of stuff that's never going to be part of the design, like all this lower stuff down in here. If this is the first main branch, then all this stuff here needs to be cleared out of there, so you have a nice sweep and you don't visually see all the rest of this other crud in here. Then this branch here is quite weak, so you notice a lot of vigor in these guys, and even the top, but this guy is hurting. I really want him. I need him as part of the design. And once again, I may just remove all this top. In fact, the base, I think I'm going to remove it right now, because I just don't see where it has anything to do with the tree. There we go. I left a couple of tufts in the back, but much nicer. And it's got some funkiness, there's no doubt about it. But sometimes you just get funkiness when you're buying landscape trees, and you're not buying them from a place that's growing them specifically for bonsai. You can get all kind of funkinesses. See, there's some more growth there, although it could probably be wired like that. And it's already wired, so I'm not going to do any wiring. And you know, still needs to have the trunk accentuated. And it's definitely a funky thing, because it actually comes straight at us and then up. And I don't think I'm ever going to rectify that. And I'm not sure it's necessary. So the next step is root prune get rid of this dead stuff. And that's number 2. Here's tree number 2. And, visually it really doesn't look like this branch is all that weak. But it just feels weak to me. I don't know when I look at it. So I root pruned it. I brought the angle up. Because it has some wire on the main trunk, I attempted to wire it a little more upright. But you can obviously see the future of this tree. First main branch, second main branch, auxiliary branch. We have some back branching. Need to create an apex up in here. That's for a future date. Right now I just want to get the root pruning done so that Mother Nature doesn't thwart me with the next 3 or 4 days of rain. So I think I can probably do another one in this video. Maybe 2. Number 3 is very similar. Because remember, I bought these guys in fall of 2022 as landscape plants. And they were all basically the same size. So when I brought up the leader, and I have these other branches, because these branches were horizontal when I bought them. The only branch that I brought up is this one for the leader. It was also horizontal. These in the landscape, these guys only get about 6 inches. That's why they're called green mound junipers. So this also is kind of a funky guy. It's got some wire too. This branch in here really needs to come over here or just be removed in order to see the trunk line. It's another one that goes back and then forward. But see, when they propagate these guys, they propagate like a 6-inch cutting like that. Well, here, let me get a cutting and I'll show you what they do. So let's get this guy out of the way. So they take a cutting like this and they strip the bottom. And then they put it in the pot, like that. And it begins to root. But what does the top do? Does the top continue to go up and up and up? No, it immediately begins to grow sideways. So now you have this very straight part here, and then all the new growth begins to grow sideways. And they don't really care if it makes that 90-degree turn, because they want a nice round ball with different leaders all moving in different directions. So that's how you end up with these crazy curves. If you can see it, this is the original cutting, and then all the rest of this all grew horizontal from that. So sometimes getting the leader up is almost impossible right at where the cutting used to be. So then you've got that crazy 90-degree turn. If you can buy your junipers from someone who's growing them for bonsai, and you won't get that. When I look at my trees, these trees that are in this condition, I don't really see that it's all that detrimental to have that weird curve in there. This is another one that has some juvenile foliage. Just one branch. Makes you wonder. I'm going to keep that for now. So next step is just do the root pruning. I'm not even going to mess with this tree. The future of all these trees is to really wire everything into place. And that will really take them to the next level. But right now it's just root prune, repot, and then let them recover. Root pruning is finished on number 3. And where are we for time? I think I can pull off one more. And that would be a pretty productive day for me. And I apologize about not talking about, the actual way we're going to style a tree. But that will come later. So I'm going to ask you right now to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And you'll be able to see me work these trees. Like I said, today, root prune, repot, future, let them recover first, then do the next level of wiring and styling. So let's do one more. Number 4 also has been wired, and it's been wired all the way up to the apex. And it has that strange 90-degree curve at the trunk because that's the way they rooted the cuttings. And there are some things about this tree that need to be rectified. This branch here is very weak and it almost looks like it's going to die. But however, we have this branch right here, which is virtually in the same place, which I can then bring into the place of this branch. And it's much younger, much more vigorous, and then cut that guy off completely once I wire that into place. But once again, that's not for today. And this tree looks pretty similar to the rest because they're my trees and I have a certain vision for the way I want my trees to look. And it's very, very difficult to change that. It's kind of like my signature. I'm not going to suddenly change my signature. So my trees all look the same. In fact, Ben Oakey, if you research Ben Oakey, if you're new and you don't know who Ben Oakey is, he was one of the premier bonsai artists in America. And he used to teach classes, and I think he was in San Diego. There's a bonsai exhibit. Anyway, he once told me that if you showed him a bonsai from any one of the people that took his class through the years, he could tell you who styled it. That's how distinctive styling is. And I was just shocked. Could you imagine? And he said that with quite a bit of confidence. If you showed him a tree of one of his students without him knowing who it was, he could tell you who styled it. So that's pretty amazing. So this is another one, just root prune, repot. You know, I took the apex all the way up. There's a lot of little stuff that all needs to, make the pads, and we have a tremendous amount of foliage here that needs to be reduced and wired flat so we have more space. Get rid of this branch and bring that guy in. Today, root prune, repot. In the future, let him recover, then do that. Number 4 is complete with the root pruning and the repotting. And it's interesting because when I look at it with my eyeballs, it kind of looks like an informal upright, but in the viewfinder, it looks very slanting. So there's number 4. So I think I'm just going to end it there. So thank you so much for watching. I needed to get this done because I was afraid of them suffering if I waited any longer. And now it's just a matter of letting them recover, then go to stage 2 of taking all the foliage and wiring it into place and creating the pads and creating ramification and cutting back, creating fullness, creating space where there's too much fullness. And on each tree, to do that next stage, it can be half an hour or even an hour or even more if you're really going to be meticulous about wiring every single little guy. And that's when they look the best, is when every single little branch is wired into place. So please stay tuned for that. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. Please like this video. And even though I know I didn't really show you much, hopefully you still got something out of it. And the future of these trees, I think, is going to be very interesting. I'm just proud that they're still alive after 2 years. Because through my bonsai career, Procumbens have, I was going to say they died, but that's not true. The reality is that I killed them. That's another bonsai joke. Bonsai don't die. You kill them. And boy, am I guilty of that. But now that I've got this channel, I feel a whole lot more conscientious about making sure that doesn't happen, because I've got people like you watching. And I've actually made some videos where I showed you dead trees. I don't think they got that many views, though. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. I'm looking forward to 2, 3, 4 months from now. Oh, and one more thing, and I know I ramble after I say goodbye. Another part of the aftercare of these guys is when I begin to see new growth emerge and give them a very, very light fertilization. Usually something like a seed starter mix with a lot of B vitamins, very low NPK. And then when they really begin to take off, then I can give them some more traditional fertilizer. So I don't really talk about fertilizer. But at this stage in the winter, fertilizing them makes no sense whatsoever. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.